All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to PICPA Abu Dhabi podcast. For our episode today, let's talk about how to market yourself professionally. I'm your host, Jara Marie Fuentes, and I'm excited to have you with us as we chat about building and boosting your personal brand. So, we have an amazing lineup of guests today, so let's meet them. So, joining us is the founder and managing director of Black Pearl with 18 years of HR experience. So, let's welcome Mr. Florendo Padilla.
Hello, everyone.
And next, we have an accomplished HR leader with over 20 years of experience and currently the senior manager HR in Dewan Architects and Engineers. Let's welcome Ms. Christine Sumo. And then last but not the least, we have the number one most influential Filipina who is a CPA and also has 20 years of experience, including a role in audit manager at Emirates Airlines. So let's all welcome Wandeline Tan Kalubi. So it's a pleasure to have you all with us. It's a fantastic lineup, right? So let's dive into today's conversation and get some incredible insight from our amazing guests. So I think we could start off with discussing what actually is personal branding. So what does it mean? Maybe we can start with you, Florendo.
Okay, personal branding. I think the best way to explain this is think about when you go to a supermarket, say Carrefour, right? When you shop for something, you always look for certain things. One is the packaging. Second, what is inside, what is actually mentioned in the packaging, what are the nutritional facts, the ingredients, right? So personal branding as an individual, as a candidate, is pretty much the same. You need to catch the attention of your target audience, right? So you have to properly package yourself depending on who your target market is.
So properly packing, like packing ourselves, right? So what do you think it's the importance of personal branding, Christine?
Well, I think with the competitive nature in the market right now for job seekers, it is very essential for job seekers and professionals or those offering their services, professional services to clients or collaborators. It is essential because this branding, for your personal branding, the way you project yourself or present yourself, you represent yourself outside, should be able to stand out because of the globally the job market right now is very competitive.
So I think this is also just into actually applying for a new job application and all that. And how do you think it is actually, how can strong personal branding influence the career growth? So maybe Wanda can answer this.
I think, from my personal experience in the clients I work with, personal branding can help you stand out. As Christine said, there's so much competition out there, but what will make you stand out is that your personal brand. So Florendo explained how, when you go to a grocery, what will make you unique. And I think to keep it simple, if you want to stand out among social media, there are so many people on social media now. And even if you're applying for a job, if you look at it on LinkedIn, there's over always 100 applicants in every application. But if you do have a personal brand which showcase what makes you unique, then it helps even, for the recruiter to say, oh, you're the right person for the job, or even for a client, for a business to say, oh, this is the right person for me to work with. So I think it's about, as Christine said, standing out among competition will help you.
So yeah, that's the question right there. So how do we actually stand out among all of these applicants when we try to apply for a job? So and you also mentioned Wanda, there is something that unique for you. So I think there is this phrase or a term, unique value proposition. So what it is and how what are the steps that can someone take to identify their unique value proposition?
Hmm. Um, Is that a question to Wanda? Can I answer that question?
No, anyone can answer here. Yes,
Okay.
Lorenzo.
Okay. I think when it comes to personal branding, the first thing anyone should do first is that they need to reflect, right? They need to understand their strengths and weaknesses as an individual, and also understand what do they really want to happen with their career. Yeah, that is very important. But because if that is very clear at the very beginning, there will be a focus in terms of what initiatives that you need to do in order to properly brand yourself. When you say properly branding yourself, that includes making sure that you have the right skills, right? Depending on the type of role that you're aspiring to have later on, making sure that you are knowledgeable about or have exposure in using a certain tools. For example, in the accounting, practice, if later on you would like to become a finance manager, for instance, and you are at the moment a general accountant, what are those skills then that you require in order for you to reach, that level as a finance manager in terms of competencies, in terms of technical skills, right? Now, creating that journey, in your assessment as an individual, really helps you in making proper planning of your personal branding.
Yeah, and I totally agree that we should actually look within and assess first, like what do we need to actually improve, what are the strengths that we have, and then we can also focus on the weaknesses, and then we can move on into the next level into our career journey. And how should one align their personal brand with their long-term career goals? So I think this also answered. This has also been answered with Florendo. So I hope we got a clear picture of how to define our unique value proposition and assess our strengths and align it with our career goals as well. So where do we actually see ourselves for the next um, years or maybe months? And now let's move on into building an online presence. So why is having a professional online presence crucial for personal branding today? So I think Wanda is very active in social media, especially LinkedIn. So what is the importance of why is it crucial in today's?
I think in anything that we do, we always search, right? I mean, when recruiters hire you, they want to stalk you first. Who is this person? When a client want to work with you, they will Google your name first. And when you Google your name, the first question is what comes up? Because that itself is your personal brand. That's your digital reputation. And what I found most powerful, I've been on LinkedIn since 2004. I actually never use it. Until the pandemic came, and I think a lot of people were sharing that they were sad, they were lonely, they were burning out, and I was like, wait, I've been there, let me now help. How did I overcome that? And then just started sharing my story. I think what I also want to add upon when you talk about the unique value proposition is that you deep you deep dive, ask yourself, what is my story, and how can my story then help others before me? Because when you started to do that, I didn't even know what personal branding was. I had no idea about all of these things. But I think when I started to just show up, share my story, share what I stand for, that is when I started to get even these recognitions of the most influential Filipino on LinkedIn. So my take on this is that if you want to be seen, be heard, and get your message across to people, then why not, use your voice and choose the right platform for you? I mean, there could be so many platforms. So you choose to, see what's right for you, but from a professional level. And I think on many levels, I found LinkedIn to be a very powerful tool.
Mhm. Right.
I think if I
Can
may add to that. Sorry,
okay.
Florence.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Wanda mentioned about finding the right platform for you. So, depending on the your profession, depending on the industry that you are in, so it depends if your audience or your clientele will be on LinkedIn. Otherwise, will be on Instagram, TikTok, or whatever platform there is. It's essential to know where are your target audience is before planning out on how you get your message across, because there are also some professions that are not in social media. They perhaps have to go out there, attend exhibitions, attend seminars, courses to get to those network that they need to get in touch with.
So thank you,
Yeah.
Christine.
Yeah. Sorry, can I just add something on what Wanda and Kristen said? And those are very true. When it comes to making someone's presence felt and felt in social media channels. Um, Aside from defining who your target audience is, it's very important again for anyone to define what is your purpose, why you want yourself to be present in those certain platforms. Now, I will wear my hat as a recruiter. Obviously, when we look for candidates, yes, there are some CVs that we can actually find in different job portals, but we also use LinkedIn to verify information of candidate. Yeah. So that means whatever is actually mentioned in the CV, it has to be aligned, okay, with the information that that we can actually find. Like if there's a disparity, that's going to be a question of credibility. Another thing is like making yourself present in social media establishes trust, right? So bear in mind that your prospective employers, they don't know you, they never work with you, and whatever information that you put on your social media account, it is a reflection of who you are and potentially as a professional, and also as a prospective employee of the company. Yeah, let me just give a classic example. One of my clients that was actually quite recent. One of my clients interviewed one of our candidates who refused to give their date of birth. Yeah, which is fine, but because when you personally ask for this question, we might face some legal issues, in this country. So we stopped there. However, what we found out on the LinkedIn profile of the candidate didn't actually mention information that are actually mentioned in the CV. And when the candidate was actually questioned during the interview, the candidate continued to lie,
Mm.
right? And then when further verification was done, that is the time that we found out that the candidate really intentionally wanting to lie in her application. Yeah. Um, Social media or LinkedIn in general can also be used as for others as an opportunity for them to be perceived as an expert in their field, whether they want to be a speaker for a particular event, or for perhaps a lecturer in a certain a program in different institutions. So it really depends on what is your purpose, why you would like to make yourself present. Now, some organizations, they kind of like put control uh, in terms of what information goes out, regardless whether it's your personal account. Yeah. And that is okay. It's acceptable because you're part of the organization. So if you put the name of the company in your LinkedIn account, you are already confirming that you're ambassador of an organization. Now, what Christine said, making yourself present in online or on LinkedIn is not the only option, right? You also have other options to make yourself known, right? Such as attending networking events, right? Attending seminars or attending online classes, right? By actively participating on those activities, you somehow would also kind of like make that presence be felt by your target audience.
Thank you for sharing, Florindo. And I think you mentioned having a LinkedIn profile and how it should be matching with the CV. So, what do you think are the key elements for a well optimized LinkedIn profile? And maybe Christine also can answer this, as she is an expert also with recruiting.
Hmm. Ah,
Well, in
If you
In
want to
our
go, please go ahead, Christine.
Sorry. So
Sorry.
in architecture and engineering, so mostly we do use LinkedIn in headhunting. Position in architecture and engineering is really that difficult nowadays because of different projects going on in Saudi and UAE and all around. So what we do actually is have other job platforms aside from agencies who we have relationship with, depending on the level of seniority of the positions that we are looking at. So for LinkedIn, we do a headhunt there, but mostly for those passive candidates and those with key positions because level professions or mid-level professions are very much available in other job platforms and mostly those information there are more accurate than those that they are projecting on LinkedIn. So so for passive and key positions we do headhunt, but in essence also in trying to make yourself visible in LinkedIn, freshers and also mid-level candidates would often message me over LinkedIn. And that is in a way, it is an effective way of, saying, hi, I'm here. I'm looking for work. And if there is any possible vacancies, that also work because I've also hired and processed candidates who are freshers and mid-levels in LinkedIn. It, in a way, it is, they are being seen because of that strategy of reaching out to those who are hiring, no? And also I have in my LinkedIn as my headline. I don't have my position as my headline. I don't have a recruiter saying that this is what I do in the organization. But what I have in my headline is the purpose why I have that LinkedIn in the first place. One is to attract those candidates that we are after, those passive candidates, those who want confidential conversations about moving up in the career or transferring organizations. So I am successful in that, in having that headline over my LinkedIn, because that is my purpose in using LinkedIn. So in a way that is very essential.
Right. Um, can I just add something on that? Right. So bear in mind that whatever information that you put online can be accessed by anyone. Right. So if that is the case, again, I'm gonna go back then to what is really your purpose, why you're putting up your profile online. Yeah. So if your purpose is actually to look for a job, then use it accordingly. What do you mean by that? So if there is in marketing what we call SEO, yeah, the search optimization. So you need to use as well certain words in order for recruiters or companies to find you, right? So one, making sure if you're going to use LinkedIn as a tool for you to find a new opportunity, then making sure that it is updated, right? Number two, not just a cut and paste of your job description. If you're having a hard time on what to write on LinkedIn, call your best friend ChatGPT. Okay. If you think like you're aspiring for a certain position and you saw that the job description somehow it's matching, but you just don't know how to figure out, then again, you can either check the profile of other people, online. Don't copy it, but get inspiration. I'll repeat, get inspiration, and then again, use ChatGPT. Okay. When crafting your LinkedIn, the content for your LinkedIn account, me personally as a recruiter, I look for the achievements, okay, not the responsibilities, because achievements is something like it kind of like give you a proof that that person has done and really capable of doing, yeah, and also the way they've actually construct sentences in each bullet points. Now, Kristen mentioned about the headline on LinkedIn. There's actually a session that I attended. It was actually done by HubSpot, and HubSpot is a CRM tool. Yeah. So one of the things I said, like to make yourself, more visible on LinkedIn is to use this headline, right? And the headline should be like a very brief description of what your service offering is as an individual. Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're an expert in accounting, then make it a point that you got a one sentence defining your 10 or 15 years of experience, and that is your headline, right? In marketing, you call that one, what is your tagline?
Mm. Okay, thank you both, Christine and Florendo. I think that is very helpful. Also, not for others, but also for me because I'm looking at like what should I actually put on my headline. I think everyone wants to ask that question. Like they have that question in mind, and so that they just put in their position. But as Christine mentioned, that we should not put in our position, but actually what is like the purpose, as Florenda said, what is the purpose of actually building an online presence or why we're actually using the platform LinkedIn. And of course, for Wanda, I think for all the posts on LinkedIn, how can you optimize sharing posts here and there, or maybe having some live podcasts as well?
I think when you talk about optimization on LinkedIn, I think Florendo and Christine shared a lot of great information already. I would like to add upon, see, they spoke about the headline, but one of the few critical things on LinkedIn is your banner. So the moment you connect with a person or they look for you, they will look at your banner, right? So this is like a digital calling card. So make sure it's professional, it's clear if you're looking for a job. I mean, make it very professional in such a way. How do you want people to perceive you? So create it that way. Now, in terms of the headline, yes, the headline is a very powerful tool because whenever you post, you comment, the first 45 characters of your headline goes with you. And if you want to be searched from an algorithm perspective, then it's about what do you put on the headline, on the about section that matters. And I love what Florendo said that, in terms of the job description that you have, don't just put the tedious headline. Why not break it down into what you do? How are you recognized, right? So at least it will make you stand out also. And the LinkedIn profile has recommendations as well. So it is a very good platform for you to ask recommendations from the people you work with because it even puts your credibility on another level because whoever, I mean, you can have 20,000 Google reviews or whatever on your business, but the moment you have at least one or two clients saying something about you, that speaks volume because that person is real. It can be verified on the same platform itself. And I think from an optimization perspective as well, there's so many features on LinkedIn that you can use to get recognized as an expert or just to stand out. So if you love writing, why not write a newsletter? If you are confident about speaking, why not start your own podcast on LinkedIn? I mean, when I started using it in 2020, I was just amazed like how people are going on live, sharing their story. I started to use just that. So I love experimenting. So I was doing live career coaching calls, I was doing webinars, live workshops until something happened. And I think I love going back to what Florendo always said, get clear with your purpose because my purpose that times I just want to inspire people, make them understand that there's so much possibilities out there from a career perspective that we don't understand. So, but if you do, then opportunities started coming. So optimization comes in many levels from the way you write on your profile, from the way you use the different features of any social media platform, then it can work for you. But use the one that is always right for you because that is the one where you will stand out to.
Also, just a tip on for those who would want to move up senior positions. No, there is in coaching and that is you call a modeling. Okay, so if you want to move up, look out to those people within the network in LinkedIn, perhaps, or in Facebook, which other platform you are using. Identify those models that you would the profession. For example, if I am currently a senior manager, the way up is an HR director, maybe a CFO or group head or whatever that position is. So identify those individuals within the industry that you are in or other industries that could also help you out, and connect with those people in on LinkedIn. It
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean that you know them, but these are people that you want to pick their brains, the way they are posting, what workshops, what events, what are their profile, what are their achievements, and in a way you have that information. For me to be able to reach to this position, I need to have this skill. I need to have this certification in HR. You wouldn't be in a senior position if you don't have CIPD or SHRM. That is a very essential certification to have right now. So those things, if you are in architecture, it is a BIM or sustainability. So look at those models, professionals that you want to emulate or be somebody like them in the future. And also connect with CEOs, decision makers within the industry that you move around or others. They will accept your invite regardless if they know you or not. It's just to follow them and pick their brains out, look out what they are doing, and in a way, find a way to emulate that or be in that circle. And you'll find surprisingly that people in those positions start adding you and connecting with you. So it opens up opportunities for you to network with people you don't think that would communicate with you, will communicate with you, and yeah, open opportunities for you.
Okay, thank you all for all the insights. So I think um, we can take inspiration also for those individuals and follow them in social media. And I think in building online presence, as I've summarized from everyone, what's you said is to know your story and your purpose, because if you know your story, you know like what to share, and if you know your purpose, you also know like what are the things that you need to put online. And then moving on, so how can professionals also leverage on other social medias like Twitter and Instagram for personal branding? Do recruiters actually look into that, or we're just actually just professional and just looked into LinkedIn?
Yeah. I think it really depends again on the kind of job that you do, to be honest. Um, for most of the positions in the corporate world, LinkedIn is actually the best tool, being used in sourcing candidates, at least in our field. However, for other professions, let's say, for example, creatives like graphic designers, fashion designers, or event management, or marketing or PR, those professions that are more on the creative side, I think Instagram will be a good option for them. We do use that, for certain positions. Another thing here is actually sporting events. Let's say, for example, paddle, volleyball, or those instructors, in sports, the gym instructors, they upload some content, to show that, okay, I'm actually good at what I do, and this is what I do every day. You know, that's another way of them showing, building their credibility in their practice. Yeah. Again, I'm gonna go back to what I said, earlier. It all depends on what you do as an individual and kind of fact that you would like to do.
So thank you for that, Florendo. How about what are your thoughts on personal website or portfolio? It just depends also on what they do as an individuals, right? But for example, I'm just an accountant. Do I actually need to have like a personal website, or
But what
how do
is your
I
purpose?
brand myself?
Yeah, but what is your purpose? If you would like to have your own website, what is your purpose? I mean, me personally, I'll wear my hat as an individual. Okay, let's make things simple, right? If you're gonna create your own website, what is your purpose? Do you want to sell services later on? Okay, if
Mm.
that's the case, then yes. But if you have a network of a lot of people and you would like that as a starting point for your future plans or having your own business, then yes, that would work. But if you just want to create a website because you want to make yourself be more visible in the market, to attract the right clients, think about who your target audience is. I'm going to go back to what Christine said. go back to your target audience. In design thinking, it is very important that before you ideate any create any idea or actions, you need to understand first the hats of your the persona of your target audience, right? Do they like seeing that kind of stuff? Do they want to receive such information, right? And then from there, you kind of like customize your approach. At the end of the day, what you want is that when you're creating something, what you want is ROI in business, right? Return of investment. Okay. So as an individual, your return investment there, it would be, I want to make sure that I attract the right audience, okay, for whatever my material I'm producing.
So, how about you, Christine and Wanda? Do you have any other thoughts on this as well?
Putting up a personal website, no, if you are a CPA, again, Lorena said it's about your purpose. If your purpose is to set up your own personal consultancy in CPA, then if you have that budget for a website, then do so. But I don't think it is essential at that point when you are only an individual providing probably consultancy in CPA, because you can network leverage on LinkedIn, you can leverage on your connections, word of mouth, because putting up and maintaining a website is costly. And if you are not going to use it as it is intended to use, drawing people to your website, it wouldn't give you, as mentioned by Florendo, the ROI that you are expecting. So it really falls down to what is your purpose of putting up that website.
How about you, Wanda? Do you have a personal website? I feel like you do.
I do have my personal website, but I think, we also have to look at the trends with the kind of attention span that we have now. I think what they said, our attention span now is shorter than the goldfish. I mean, goldfish have 10-second attention. We humans now only have 8-second attention. And I don't think a lot of people even have time to do visit the website. I mean, there's so many ways now to reach people with the so many, platforms that are available. So having a website is good, but what is it for? Right? Is it nice to have, a must to have? So you have to go back and ask yourself, as they both said already, what's the purpose? Because it's good, but if you want to use so many social media platforms, there are many tools also available. Like you did ask about how can you use Instagram or Twitter. One of the things I discovered, like for example, when we do the live podcast, we use a platform called StreamYard, which allows me to stream simultaneously on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. Now, I'm not an expert on those platforms, but if I do want to build some traction or at least a presence, there's no need to do so many things. You just need to be smart enough to know what's the right tool that can help me grow, in different channels. And be it a website, again, it's always dependent on how much you have, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and then make a decision from there. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, that is very true. Can I just add one thing there? That's very true. Wanda, I agree with you. I think I just want to say that in a way that accounting professionals would understand it. In accounts, obviously you analyze number performance of the business, right? If the company has so many assets, you look at what is the performance of company A, B, and C and D. Whatever the results that it will generate at the end of the month, each business says, the investors, the senior management would say, okay, let's continue investing on this particular business because it's our income's increasing. However, on the other businesses, it's not performing. So we make a decision whether to shut it down or just only focus on the businesses that are actually performing. Their social presence is the same, right? Rather than like, opening up different channels for yourself, why don't you first assess and focus on one channel, let's say LinkedIn, right? On LinkedIn, it's not just about you putting up your career history there, your photo, your banner, right? Just like Wanda and Kristen said, there's so many things there. You can follow certain individuals who are actually known in the industry, make a comment in some of their postings, or you can either create articles, post blogs, right? Now, if you think like you're not a good writer, hey, I'm gonna go back to ChatGPT or Gemini. You can actually use this technology and say, ChatGPT, you are my script writer, you are my content creator. I want you to create 1, 2, 3, 4 for me for 1 month. I am an expert of so and so and so. Press send. And then ChatGPT will generate then different content materials for you based on the prompts that you have sent to him. Yeah. Again, you need to focus first on one channel, assess. There is a section where you can actually see the analytics, right? When you post it, what was the performance, how many times it was actually shared, okay, who are the people who have actually shared it. So use those numbers to increase your presence online and improve your branding as an individual.
So I think what we can get from this conversation also is to actually just utilize the platform, but you need to find the right platform for you or what you actually do. And I think it's also, we've covered that the social presence or online presence is very essential. Now let's dig into the other part of also connecting with other people, which is networking. So, how important is networking when it comes to marketing yourself? And as an accountant as well, I feel like we are professionals who are very timid and we just like want to sit on the computer. We don't want to actually publicly speak up. So, how do you actually advise those people who doesn't know how to do and network with these events?
I am also very timid. People in PhilHR would know I don't whenever they see me on events like before, right? Because I joined PhilHR from 2010, I think. And from then people know me as somebody who's taking pictures there and just be at the corner and observing everybody because I am a person who would sit at the back, not because I don't want to be called, but I want to observe everybody what they are doing. Okay. So I developed gradually that the way that I present myself speaking to people it probably it probably came out when I started pushing myself to talk in front of people, accepting those invites to do workshops, facilitate workshops, speak on keynote speakers or whatever it is. I started in the academe, so that gave me confidence and because I have a problem with speaking with colleagues, but I don't have any issues talking to my students. I can go on and on and on, but I have this tendency of um, I suddenly probably freeze when talking to, for example, if I met you people before, I wouldn't be able to speak out directly and express what I am. But it came as because I pushed myself to do it, because otherwise I wouldn't be successful in delivering workshops or facilitating trainings if I cannot speak. So in terms of networking, be with people who you want to be and follow them. And also, another point in success or strategies in networking, it's not a one-way street. You also have to give back. So if you are asking somebody to be your mentor, for example, somebody you want to be in the future as you progress in your career, it might be some people that who are older than you. No, this goes to the same thing for fresh graduates. No, if you are a fresh graduate and you want to be an accountant, a CPA, right? So tap those people that you know that who are CPA. Ask them to mentor you, but it doesn't stop there. Being a mentee also also have that responsibility that you also give value to your mentor. In what sense? Especially in the younger generation. Younger generations are very adept in technology. Probably that mentor that you have is maybe 50, 60 years old that is not well into the current technology right now. So this is something that you can also offer at the table and be able to share with that mentor. So when you ask for something, make sure that in the future, maybe not now, you'll be able also to provide, or even not to the same person, but to another, the person that you can also help. So that builds your community and opportunities open when you really share information.
Jara, if I may add, I can relate so much to Christine. Even up to this point, nobody believes me when say I'm an introvert. I mean, people see me doing podcasts, interviews, many things, but you bring me in a big event, I really get overwhelmed. You will definitely see me in the corner because I just like to observe like what she does. And I think in what I learned in networking is that it's not about knowing everybody. It's not about talking to everybody. And there's so many kinds of networking, but the moment you are clear, who do I want to meet and why, then even going to any event becomes easy because you will know who's the right person for you to approach. And I think what I found most powerful is digital networking. I mean, on LinkedIn, I was able to get business partners, I mean, I was able to get a lot of things because I connected with them and network, online. I think I'm most effective online than one because I get very, very shy. But online, like I remember one of the things that really I appreciated was Tony Fernandez. He's the head of AirAsia. When I was in Malaysia, I mean, my husband was relocated there. I didn't have a job and I was like, I feel like I want to work and go back to audit, but airline auditing. So I got his email address. I introduced myself. I said, this is what I am. This is what I did in my previous job, and I want to make a positive contribution. And he did reply. I mean, he forwarded my CV to the person, but then my interest also changed. And I think what I learned from every experience is that if you want to accomplish something, that you can do that with the clarity of the message, the intention, and make it clear also to the person what do you really want to achieve, and what's the positive impact if they work with you. So networking, yes, it's very difficult, I'll say, but when you are clear with the why, then the how becomes easier. And face to face will always be there. It's actually very, very powerful, but you just need to be comfortable with dealing with people. And if you're not, then just take it one step at a time. Normally in events, I'll meet one person, I'll be with that person the whole time. You have always, for me, it's always about creating that comfort zone. I know this person already. I feel safe with that person, then that person will be the whole time. As and when I also set the intention, let the right person come and find me, and it happens. So there's always magic with the clarity of intention. So networking is a tool, but it's always what works for you too.
Yeah, that's true. And also, we have to remember that every person undergoes a certain journey in their career. Someone who's actually starting in their career may not have enough, confidence level then to go out and speak to senior ups. So what they do is like, they try then to um, partner up with another person who's actually more senior to them. So if they're going to get the right support, then they'll be able then to overcome it. However, if support is not there, then they are on their own. Okay. Now, people in, change their perception about attending social events or networking events depending on their situation. What do I mean by this? There are two ways we change the way we behave. I'll wear my hat as psychology, graduate. One, if there is pain, right? When we had enough, it's enough is enough. That's a time we make a commitment to ourselves. No, I'm gonna change because I want to get that position, right? So in accounting, for example, most of the time, accountants will just going to be facing the computer, looking at the different receipts that they have at the end of the month, opening up different Excel sheet. It's like they're actually secluded from the world. They
Mhm.
don't talk to anyone. They only talk to someone when there's an inquiry. Where's this invoice? Have you collected this?
Mhm.
Right? So communication, interaction between one person to another person, it's actually restricted. Okay. So when you ask them to go outside and meet other person, you'll find them in the corner. And there's nothing wrong with that because it's not their time yet. Yeah. However, when they realize, like, no, I want to be a senior later on, okay, I see that this person, he gets that position because she knows how to talk. Then that person will now start thinking, okay, I need to make a commitment to myself that I need to expose myself to these different avenues where I can develop my speaking skills, my communication skills, my social skills, right? The other way for another reason why people would actually change the way they look at social gatherings or networking is when there is a reward. Okay, so I will wear my hat as an HR person. So part of the performance manager, I could say, performance manager management. I would say, okay, as your accounting manager, I will give you this position if you attended 1, 2, 3, 4 social gatherings. So I was gonna look at that one as a reward. Now, the thing here is that what do we do after attending those events? Now, it depends now on the individual, right? Others might just, because of their type of personality, they might just stay as a receiver of the information. Others will be very active. And when they're active, you find them post taking photos and then uploading those photos on their social media channels, right? But for others who are kind of like timid or shy, or introvert, as we say. I'm actually an introvert, by the way. Um, you find them not doing anything. But then, if you open their notebook, they took a lot of notes. Yeah, and it's okay. Whether again you didn't actively participate in a discussion, or you actively participate in an organization or in the discussion when you attended networking, it is okay as long as you gain something from it as an individual. You have to find the right time for you to grow as an individual, right? I didn't know myself, for example, and never thought that I'll be an owner of a recruitment and HR firm in the UAE. All I thought, I mean, when before coming here, I made a commitment to myself that I just want to complete 3 years working as an airline crew and then after that go back to the Philippines. But I shifted to recruitment, right? After 7 years of working in the country. And at that time, I realized that I need to take a different path. I don't know how to speak to senior level management. I don't know what's the right communication style to use. I don't know how to do business development. I don't know how to market myself, right? However, because of my willingness to learn, develop my skills, I made a commitment to myself that I need to go out and meet a number of people. And one of the things that have actually helped me set up my business is by attending those free sessions at NYUAD, right? Where I get a chance then to meet different people who are just starting their journey and setting up their business. Others are more experienced in running their businesses. So I learned from that interaction. But if I remember my first few days when attending that event, I was just one of those passive participants listening attentively to the attendees and to the facilitator.
So there's nothing wrong with being passive. Yeah, and then we just need to find. I really like what you said about finding the right time to actually grow because that will actually push you to actually do more and be socially present.
Yeah.
And now, like with yes, uh, I thought like I heard someone say something. So now that we explored the in and out of networking, let's also dive into content creation. and how can it elevate our personal brand? So, how does content creation contribute to building a personal brand? So, I'll direct this question to Wanda.
I think content, what they said, 80% of your success is also about communication. You could be the best in what you're doing, but if you don't know how to communicate, it becomes a trap, right? And content creation is as simple as communication. Communicating who you are, what you do, who you help, and how. If you're a business person, if you are looking for a job, it's about, again, what makes you stand out and why you're the right person for the job. So from a content creation perspective, I think what I've seen throughout the years of content creation, it has become so easier now. I mean, in seconds, Florendo keep on saying chat GPT, it is really very powerful. You just said, create me a content so I can be known, let's say, as an expert in accounting on this, whatever reconciliation is that. Create me a 31-day content, and then it will create for you in seconds, right? But it's about, I think, more than creating the content, it's about the courage to show yourself out there, because content creation has been become so easy now, but the courage for you to show up, speak up, is the one that will always stop you. I mean, you will always have fear of, will I make a mistake, will people listen to me, what could go wrong. But the moment, again, go back, why do you want to do this, then you become unstoppable. So content creation, go back again to your core. And there's always that unique person within you that can help you stand out in any scenario. So the moment you're clear with that, then content creation will come with ease, with grace. So your clarity of who you are, your intentions also, of course, will always guide you what content to create. If you want to find a job, then create something that will get you known as an expert. If you're looking for clients, again, make it known that you're there. So creating content about what you do, what you offer will help you definitely.
Thank you, Wanda. So we just have to look at the core, and then we have that courage, and then we just communicate, and then there you go, content creation. But
Yeah.
what advice? Yes, Florendo.
Yeah, no, no, I just want to say, I'm sorry if I talk a lot and then share a lot of things. When it comes to creating content, I just want to highlight one thing. Since we are here in this part of the world, where everything's kind of not controlled, but there is a law on certain things. So we have to be mindful as well on what we write, what we post, and type of content we release online.
If I just also want to share, no, content creation is not for everybody in terms of use and purpose. For me, as an example, I tried to do content creation, but it is not within me to be consistent about it. In terms of, I consistently post once in a while. That is the consistency there. When there is really a need, for example, I would post a content if I was invited by a friend to do a workshop or attend a workshop with a newly start up education center. So I would post about that because I want to promote my friend's business. Or if I was invited to a workshop or to speak at some event like this one, I would share that. But to I wouldn't be I wouldn't be the person like Wanda who would be there would be consistent content because for her she has a target audience and that needs she needs to be connected with them. Okay. So for me, because that is not my purpose, and I also have it is not within my scope or intention to share every day. I don't find the need for me to share every day on my platform, but those that are just essential and important for me to share that can add value or can gain probably collaboration or partnership with somebody within my network that would be interested in what I'm doing. So those are things, but I think I am not that pressured to share content. So for all those who really see themselves not sharing that much content, so don't be pressured about it. The important thing is you share what is that will give value to you as a profession, to you as an individual, but there's no pressure in sharing whatever you want to keep to yourself.
Thank you, Christine. So I think consistency also, it goes down again to what is your purpose.
Mhm.
So now that we explored also how content creation can really boost our personal brand, from maybe podcasts or sharing, posting in social media, let's also try to craft a perfect elevator pitch. So what is elevator pitch, and why is it essential also for personal branding? Florendo?
Um, elevator, pitch, for me is when you're actually in front of someone. That's the time you're able then to highlight, showcase your strengths, your abilities, your capabilities, your achievements. But when it comes to the information that you have in your content, you're able to have that elevator pitch when it comes to the quality of content that you're posting. Yeah. Now let me just explain further those 2 points. Now, when it comes to interviewing, it is very important that when you've been given a chance to talk, you should be able then to highlight the very important things why your profile is matching the requirement of the client or your prospective employer. When you do that, by making sure that you provide examples that are related to the role that you're being considered for. Now, in most of the time, most cases, what candidates do when they're asked the question, tell me something about yourself, or why should we consider you for the role, or what information you've gathered, about us that makes you suitable for this position. Often the candidates would start talking about, for example, I'm a Filipino. I'm a graduate of. I did my high school in this. I have a passion, and you're losing the attention already when you do that, right? You have to. You only have 5 seconds, really, right? 5 seconds to impress the interviewer, and you need to capture that by immediately capturing the attention, saying, I have 15 years of experience in the accounting field, working for multinational organizations, right? I have a degree in, and my qualifications are. And then you start now backing it up with your experiences and specific examples to why you're related into the role. Now, the other point now here is what you post, the elevators hit, and what you post online. Again, it depends on the type of personality you have. If you're actually an introvert person, you don't want to be facing the camera, that's fine. Use ChatGPT again, ChatGPT, or use online tools, or echo some of the wordings that prominent people said when you attended a seminar or a learning session. Post those materials that will highlight your capability. You know, well, that last week I requested a session with Microsoft, because we are improving the technology we have in the business. I'm kind of surprised that everything can be integrated now with the power of AI. Any organizations don't actually need any support. Remember, what do you mean by this? Starting from the receptionist, someone will gonna answer a phone call, and AI will answer the call. Will be answered. The caller would ask certain questions automatically. Certain responses will be generated, and then that information will be fed then to whoever's actually the targeted person in the department. Say, for example, finance manager would like to get a report on a certain things. What the AI will gonna do now is that pick up the information, whatever's actually stored in the system, and come up then with some analysis, right? And then you single click, the report will be generated, right? So if you really want to showcase your expertise in accounts, okay, using AI, for example, you can start creating content around this. That is an elevator pitch, in social media.
Jara, I would like to add, I think when you mentioned elevator pitch, so many things came to my mind. Number one, if you want to get promoted, you need to know your elevator pitch, right? Because I remember using that when I was with Emirates Airline. I can see a lot of my colleagues getting promoted. It's like, why not me? And Filipinos, as we are, we're very timid. We know we were gonna get promoted someday. But I was like, wait, I need to have an elevator pitch. So I had a conversation with our VP then, and I just had one question I asked. What would it take for me to be the next manager to be promoted? And he was very surprised. He said, I didn't know you wanted the promotion because you have kids. So, and I was like, I was expecting him to promote me from my 4 months. On the other hand, he wasn't expecting me wanting to be a manager. But that, elevator pitch of knowing to ask the right question helped me get the job in, I think, 3 or 6 months, because they know I'm ready, but they didn't know I wanted it. So, number one. Second, if you're in business, then elevator pitch is required for you to get funded. I remember joining one competition. It's about the female hackathon in Asia. I only had 4 minutes to pitch my business idea out of the 100 people. And I was lucky to be at the top 20. And I think it's about, again, having a very clear message. Elevator pitch also on LinkedIn is possible. I mean, I'm meeting an investor next week because I'm launching something called Cancer A Clinic. So it's something that I'm really very passionate about, revolutionizing global care. And I think, again, elevator pitch is, what do you want? Is it a promotion? Do you want a client, or do you want to get funds for whatever you're working on? The moment you're clear what you need to have or what you want to achieve, then your elevator pitch comes easy for you. So you can use it in any way, but you always have to, again, connect with your why, and then the right word starts to come up. If it doesn't, chat GPT, right? So that's how it works now. And I think it's a lifesaver also.
So thank you, Wanda, as well. I think you mentioned also like the key elements for having a compelling elevator pitch. So I think everything comes up into what is your purpose, why, and having a clear message or intention going across so they can get the message received. And now that we've covered like how to have a powerful elevator pitch tailored to different situation as well, if you want to get funding, if you want to get promotions, I hope we're now ready to make those quick and impactful impressions, I must say. And now let's discuss on personal professionalism. Oh no, personal presentation and professionalism. So, what do you think, and how important is it to how important is your personal appearance when it comes to personal branding? So let's ask maybe Christine, as a recruiter, what do you actually have a say on this?
Well, before I have, if you know about Sugar Espadera, she is a personal branding expert. So she is also the past president of Phil HR. So while she was actually eyeing on me because the way I present myself when I'm attending events of Phil HR, I'll just be wearing jeans and our Phil HR shirt and those things. So they would never see me wearing any professional, coat or whatever that would make me look like somebody who is a subject matter expert. And she was like, Christine, you should start wearing heels. You should start. I will help you out with your personal branding. So just make sure that you follow what I say. So at that point, I wasn't really interested into changing what I am. because for me, I prefer comfort.
Mhm.
So I can be wearing this. This is cotton, and it's something that's comfortable for me. And I could wear slacks or that is comfortable for me. I can wear flat shoes that is comfortable for me and still look professional. In the way where I attend seminars or um, or workshops or whatever events, social events, industry events that is. So in terms of probably presentation and professionalism, it's probably the way you carry yourself, not just it's a matter of course being presentable in the way you dress, but being peer pressured to wear a heels are probably something that is stereotyped as somebody with that outlook or the way they project themselves. It is in a way that is what they intend their personal branding to be, but I realize that I can also be presentable and professional and see people see me as a subject matter expert even I don't wear heels. I don't often wear both, but I do prefer comfort because um that's just the way I am. And probably it works for me. So being it depends on how you carry yourself, how authentic you are, and how you present yourself as an authority in that subject that you are sharing or being asked to talk about. So I believe it's just the way you project yourself, being in terms of presentation and professionalism, being true to what you value.
Yeah, and I think this carrying yourself also involves the confidence of how you actually carry yourself, look at other people as well, and how you communicate. So, I want to know also, like, how can individuals build confidence in interview or meetings? Like, you can carry yourself, you can look confident and energetic that you're not even nervous about the interview or meeting, but how do you actually build that confidence?
Being
Right.
prepared.
Be-
Most
Yeah.
important thing is being prepared. If you're going to a meeting or something that you're expected to present or give information about, you have to prepare so that you know what you're talking about. If there are any questions, you're be able to answer them directly. So if you're not prepared, then definitely that's something that you need to improve on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually very true. If I may just add, something on that, preparation plays a big, a crucial part when it comes to attending any interview or presentation, perhaps when you're having a meeting with your managers. It's about knowing what you needed to present, what information you need to share. As a candidate, for example, this morning, um, I had a quick call with a candidate saying like, okay, tomorrow you're going to I'm gonna call you again. But for today, I want you to review the job description that I sent you. Revisit each bullet points that you mentioned in your CV. Check the profile of the client. Check the individuals that you're gonna meet on their on LinkedIn, and then locate the location of the client, so you know how much time you would need them to it would take you from where you are to the office of the client. And then tomorrow I'm gonna call you and we're gonna have a role play. Yeah, I'll act as the interviewer, and you would need that to answer certain questions I would ask you, and I give you feedback if there's any. That preparation is very important because it kind of give you an indication whether you're gonna get the job or not, right? That one. Second, it will also help you anticipate questions that might be. You don't want to be caught off guard, obviously, right? And for you to avoid that feeling that you'll be caught off guard is to make sure that you are able to anticipate all the possible scenarios, right? In design thinking, I'm gonna go back to design thinking. So once you created then different solutions, you kind of like take a journey on how you're going to achieve that solution. So you go back to what are the resources, what are the steps that you need to do. If it doesn't work out, what is that plan A, plan B, plan C? What support do you need? Do you need any tools, additional resources, etc. No, and that is part of preparation. Now, in accounting practice, you need to do some preparation. You can't just generate a report at the end of the month without doing entering the data then on your Excel sheet or on your Zero or Zoho books, right? Your manager cannot generate then the reports that he or she needs to present at the end of the month to the management, right? So that preparation in 1 month where you enter data, that's part of preparation. Yeah. Now, in order for you as well to gain that confidence, making sure that you feel good is one of the things, or I think making sure that you feel good is very important in gaining that confidence. I'm talking here not just because about you. I'm talking this not just because of how you look as an individual. You know what color you're wearing, whether you're wearing a good makeup. Just inside, if you're feeling good about yourself, okay, it's more than enough for you to gain that confidence that you need in order to win your presentation, in order to win your any meetings that you wish to go to.
I think, Jara, I would just like to add because confidence is when being nervous is so normal, but getting over that is the most difficult thing to do. And I think in an interview, it will always be normal and you will stutter. I mean, your mind goes on a different level. And I think when I used to be audit manager for Emirates Airline, my biggest fear was number one, I'm very small with small woman with a small voice. And then I get to deal with the country managers, different nationalities. And I think what works for me is always about, see, I always have a discussion and say, I'm doing this audit because the intention is to help the company. It's not about me. And I always remind myself, if I don't believe in myself, nobody will believe in me. So I always build that confidence first. And if I find it, this is one of the practice that I do. I always have, you might notice me at the beginning of the podcast writing. I always like pray first, but I always surrender to, I have this fear. I don't know what needs to come out from the podcast, but just help me, guide me. So I always write my fears and then I surrender it to God. And then if there are meetings or interviews that I have to go to, I see, even if it's online, I always go ahead and then I pray. I pray so hard for me and for the person who's in the room. And it becomes peaceful because I will say, prayer is so powerful that even, it speaks. I mean, there's so much miracles that happen when you do that. And when you start to surrender that your fear is you being human, but when you give it to God, then it becomes part. I always write, I can do all things through God who gives me strength. Then I get the courage to show up no matter what, because it's not my own wisdom or what, but it's really God's help working through whatever needs to be done. So pray and then as I breathe. So deep breathing is very powerful. You just say inhale God's love and then exhale all your doubts, fears, and worries. It really relaxes you. So in every workshop, webinar that I do, I'm very nervous. But together with every participant, we do breathing exercise. Then we do the prayer and just like, oh my God, then I'm ready. So find your rhythm, but you're one breath away from, finding that courage. You're one prayer away. You're one paper away. So access that because it's really, powerful.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Thank you, Wanda. And I think as if we just come prepared and ready, and then that we know that we did our best, we feel good about it, and we just kind of let it go and let God do all the work on that. So
Mm.
thank you. And now that we know how to actually communicate and build confidence, what do you think also are the effects, or how can we enhance self marketing if about the nonverbal communication skills like body language, what that it says for the recruiters as well? Christine,
Sorry, can you
Florence.
repeat again? Christine?
So, what nonverbal communication skills are critical for professionals, like body language? How can we actually enhance to self marketing?
Hmm. I mean, if we're talking about here, facing the interviewer, right?
Yeah.
You know, there is this article that says that every candidate being screened for a position, they only have 5 seconds. 5 seconds in terms of their what information they have in their CV, right? 5 seconds with the way they look, to impress that okay, that's the right person, right? Or have this initial persona that they are actually having the right personality for the job. And 5 seconds when you do a handshake, when you sit down to say, okay, this person is actually professional, right? Or this person is confident and has prepared for this meeting. That 5 seconds is very important. So if I am a candidate, I need to make sure that I focus on those three key areas on how I look. Again, when you say how I look, you don't need to buy the most expensive clothings, in any malls here in the UAE, right? You just need to make yourself feel good about what you wear. Yeah. And make sure it's actually clean and properly ironed, right? When you go for an interview. Number two, obviously, when you start approaching your interviewer, you have to be confident. Okay. Um, and then and extend your extend your arm and do a firm handshake and greet them, and articulate any words that are gonna come from your mouth, okay, clearly and in a very structured manner.
Dara, if I may add, because I took so much course on communication and I did so much workshop already teaching people because what I learned is that 7% is verbal. It's scary, right? I mean, we talk so much, but that's only 7%. And then what they said is that 38% is the tone of your voice. So how do you play with the tone of your voice? I mean, giving emphasis on things that matter and, making sure that you're heard. It's not even about the volume. Sometimes when you whisper, you actually are heard more. I mean, I test it out with my children a lot. If I shout, actually it doesn't work. If I whisper, they kind of listen more. So it really depends on a person to person, but 55% is body language. So how do you carry yourself? How do you stand up? How do you speak? And I think you can easily build rapport. Like, for example, if the interviewer is speaking fast, then you speak fast. Because there's something called in the brain called, mirroring. So if you mirror the person that you are with, then the person tends to like you because at the back of the mind, they're like, oh, I like this person. If that person talks slow, then talk slow. So you build rapport by mirroring the person that you're speaking with. So it's easier that way, how that person holds the pen, how that person speaks, the body language of the person. So that immediately builds comfort between the two of you. Because the moment you stand, you just put your shoulder up, it looks so confident but so stiff also, right? So why not look at the space where you find comfortable and just be yourself, but at the same time do be aware of how does this person opposite me, or look at who's the decision maker here. How does that person, use the command of the hand? How does the tone of the voice work? Then it starts to work for you. Become best friends at the end. So that mirroring is again a very, very powerful tool.
So, thank you,
If
Wanda. So,
I may also
55% body language then. How about you, Christine?
if I may also add, so I remember we are looking for somebody to hire as somebody for reception. So if you are someone who is into, in a way, that's still customer service because you're in front, you're the first line in the company when people arrive or visit the office. So one particular thing that I do in interviewing or meeting candidates for that level in terms of front desk um, office for the reception is I asked the person who's currently handling the reception. So how was the approach of that particular candidate when they ask about me or the person who's going to interview? Because sometimes I let my other senior officers to interview first before me, because that particular position is a entry level, but it is very important in the company. No, they answer the phone calls. They are the main entry or gateway to the office, if you might want to consider that. No, so if when approaching reception at that particular scheduled interview and they were rude at reception, so I will not be meeting that candidate. I'll let my senior officer do the interview and just fill out the evaluation, because that initial contact with the person in front of you, when you know that that is not the decision maker, and your attitude or the way you project yourself wasn't in line with the position that I am looking for. So definitely that's already one way to look at candidates who are applying, the way they interact with those people that are they think would not matter, no. So that is one thing that I look for in those type of positions that we are hiring. So in terms of interviewing, I look at the way they enter the office, particularly my office, in terms of, or the meeting room, because sometimes people tend to, stoop down while they enter the office. So in that way, I would know that they are not confident, probably nervous. In a way, I help them at the initial interview. I build rapport because they might just be nervous about the interview because they are probably the best candidate for that position, but that particular time they might probably just nervous. But during the duration of the interview, if it is consistent that the person is doing it, then definitely that is something that would be taken note of. And eye contact, probably not staring at the interviewer, but probably just once in a while glancing at the eyes, no, making sure that whatever you are sharing is being heard, and also smile once in a while, especially if you are applying for a position that you need to be cordial. And yeah, I find it amusing when people during interviews are caught in a lie. So recruiters would often, I don't know, Flendo, you are always doing interviews. You would catch person who is lying, right? In a way that you would ask questions that they would say that they have done this. To follow up questions, you would know particularly that they are lying, right? So be careful for with candidates. Um, be authentic, be true to what you really achieved. And because recruiters will definitely catch you lying during interviews. So yeah, so be careful with that. Be authentic and be honest as always.
So thank you, Christine. And I think I agree with the initial contact, that 5 seconds from Florendo. And also, I really love that communication skills from Wanda, that 7%, 38% for the tone, 7% verbal, and then 55% body language. Because I've also heard this, that sometimes it's not what you actually say, but how you actually deliver it. So thank you all for that. And now maybe we can proceed with leveraging the testimonials and recommendations. I think we discussed this also earlier, but what is the best way to ask for testimonials and recommendations, maybe from colleagues or clients? So how do we get that recommendations in our LinkedIn profiles? Florendo, you're smiling so much.
No.
Share that.
Um, I don't know. I think you will not like my answer here. Okay. Um, I understand the goodness of asking for references, recommendation from people. But as a recruiter, as an experienced recruiter, I don't put so much weight on that. Why people would often ask people they know, okay, or they're friends with to write recommendations for them,
Mm,
right?
yes.
If I'm gonna conduct then a background check, of someone, I wouldn't go for the ones that they would nominate. Yeah. Because again, if they're friends, I will hear music only to my ears, right? And all the questions will be answered with positive responses, and that's not gonna give me then the answers that I want. Okay. So what I'll do as a recruiter is that okay, you nominate one person, okay, and I'll ask this person then. I was still gonna interview that person and get references, but I'll ask that person who is the other person that this person has worked with, and I'll contact them. And then I'll ask another person then in the HR department to confirm whether this person's actually worked. Okay. So this kind of like, do a check and balance in terms of the information. In accounts you have the audit, right? So you want to make sure that data entered is actually correct. Wanda might have agree with me on this. So in terms of like, profiling yourself for a position, you have to understand as an individual, there are also checks and balance being done by HR or recruiters. Yeah. So if you are looking for a job, just like what Kristen said, be authentic. You have to be sure that whatever information you're putting on your profile, it is actually correct. Okay. If there are inconsistencies in the information, the usual excuse people would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Oh, I didn't know about it." The employers might say, "Okay, I understand," but that kind of like raises a flag or a red flag already. Your credibility is already being questioned. Me personally, if the moment I find that any of my candidates is already not telling me the truth during interview, that will raise a flag, and immediately I will terminate the call and not consider that person, and I'll put a comment in our system to not consider this person because of this and that reason. Going back to the commendation on LinkedIn again, it's good because it kind of like attracts or improves your attraction. Okay. However, me personally, I don't believe whatever is actually written in those recommendations. I'm not 100% sold out. It improves your performance as an individual, but it doesn't give a confirmation or a good reflection of someone's performance. Okay. Like any other businesses, you go on Google review, it's a mix of positive and good responses, right? But bad responses, good and bad responses. Obviously, what is always highlighted are the bad responses, right? But that doesn't mean that that particular premise or business is bad, right? It's just that that particular person rated badly a particular company for whatever reason, and we don't know as an individual what was the situation of that person when it happened and when that person rated that company. Okay, so we as an individual still need to do our own due diligence in finding out the truth. So
Thank you
that's my
for.
take on
How about
I
you, Wanda? You
I
unmuted your mic.
I agree with that. I think, see, you're asking for recommendation to solidify your trust and credibility, right? So most people, of course, will definitely ask them from the people who know would, give them the best words. But I think what works on LinkedIn to make it more credible, you get it from the direct people you work with, specifically the head of the department, for example. You ask for that, or the direct clients you work with, And most people find it easy to reply and give you a recommendation if number one, you give them the intention. Because if you said, Florendo, can you give me a recommendation because this can help me get my next job, or this can help me, achieve this, they will love to help you. Not just only by sending recommendation without explaining why. Have a previous conversation to say, can you help me and give me a recommendation on LinkedIn because I need this for this, thing. Then it makes it easy. Also, put some questions already. Like Florendo or any person who was asked to write a recommendation, it'll make it easy for them to answer. If you do have pre-prepared questions, for example, questions like, what is your experience working with me? What makes me unique? How did I contribute to the role? So if you ask these questions that will help you land your next job, then that will be easier now for the person who's answering that. So get the right person to give you the recommendation, give them the right questions, and then give them the reason of why you're doing this. Then it becomes easier for you to do it. But don't do it just for the sake of having one. I mean, some people said, "Oh, you don't have any recommendation." Like, "Oh, let me just get it from my best friend who haven't even worked with you." So the comment has to be nothing with work but your personality only. So balance it. Balance the goal, balance to how you're going to use it and to whom you're gonna request it. But everything, I'll say it's a powerful tool, but use it correctly. Christine keeps on saying authenticity. It works in many ways. So it will always help you. Just be there and show the right information, and the right people will always come and find you.
Thank you, Wanda. How about you, Christine? Do you have any take on this recommendation?
Um, as far as I can remember, I only did ask two people, no, two persons to give me recommendation back to when I came back from Manila, because that was, I think, 2012. So I left UAE 2011, and then I came back 2012. So I was looking for work. So LinkedIn recommendations were, I think, new at that time. So I tried and sent it to two of one is a colleague in Phil HR, and another one is a colleague in my previous employer. Um, so there are only two people, and they did give me a recommendation. No? After that, anyway, I found work at that time, and one particular person was also called by that potential employer who hired me in Abu Dhabi. So it kind of worked. So, but that was the first and last that I asked for recommendation, and right now, people will send me invitation to recommend. Some I don't know. Some that I do know. Yes, I give recommendations, especially for those within the organization that I have. They would send me invitation to recommend them, and if it is useful for them and I know them personally, how they work, what was their strong point, for example, within the organization that we are both part of. So I would give recommendation because I know that person is looking for work. So if that worked for me, perhaps it will also work for this person. So giving that recommendation in a way helps somebody in their own way, in a particular situation that they are in. So I do give recommendations. But asking for recommendation, I haven't had that. Probably I hadn't had the thought of needing a recommendation, probably.
Okay, thank you, Christine, because I needed that validation that I don't need to ask for a recommendation right now, also for my LinkedIn profile. And
What works best is word of mouth.
mm,
When people know that you are particularly good at one thing, maybe they need support on that, people will recommend you. They will not look at your LinkedIn profile and read those recommendations.
it's really true. And now that we talked about that, let's also talk about the challenges that people face when building their own personal brand. So we talk about how do you actually build your brand, but what are the challenges associated with that? Maybe one day you want to take this.
Uh, maybe I'll start because
Mhm.
I think that's what most of my clients are like. What will I do, Wanda? What will I post? What will I write? What social media platform will I use? And I think because a lot of people are not clear, they want to do personal branding, but they don't know why and what. But it always, I will say, it will be easy. There's something I discovered called soul branding. When you know at the core of your soul who you are, why you're here on earth. I mean, it's so deep that goes through your true calling. What are your values? Then it's so easy now for you to do branding because the moment that your why of why you need to do, show up and have a personal brand is bigger than the fears that you have, then you become unstoppable. So some of my clients, like for example, one of my clients had a burnout also, and she was like passionate about helping people turn their passion for baking and cooking into profit. Now it's very difficult for her to show up all the time. It gets tiring. It's very difficult to post content. But she always goes back to her, well, wait, I'm doing this not for me, but for the people who are also burned out with their work and want to do something else. So because you're now clear about that soul branding that you have, then you go back. I mean, you might stop, you might slow down, but you will still come back. So go to, I'll say it's a very deep, it has to be a deeper level of meaning of who you are, what's your purpose, why you're doing it, because that is when your why will turn all your faith and melt all your fears. So that's my take. There will be many fears, I'm sure, but your why has to be so big. It has to be bigger than you. Then you will become unstoppable.
So
Yeah,
one
that is
fear,
actually
yes.
right. Sorry, can I just add something then? Yes, I agree with you on that. It all starts from within. You have to believe in your core, and in addition to that, that reminded me about the food Wanda was actually talking about at the beginning, before we started this session. Personal branding is like a buffet, right? So if you're in a buffet, obviously there are so many variations of food here. Okay, um, people will go to a restaurant with so many selections. They'll try a piece of one thing and then another thing, but you don't expect them to come there every day, right? There'll come a time that if you're just offering the same variants or same selections in your buffet, time will come people won't go to a restaurant. Yeah. And I think personal branding is like that. You have to continuously evolve your personal branding, yourself. That means improving your skills, improving what your current service offering, right? Um, it all boils down to taking up additional certification, um, going out and attending seminars, networking events, learning what's actually new in your field. That improves your personal branding as an individual. Yeah, because if you continuously improve yourself, you're able to evolve the information that you put on your social media channels. You evolve the way you speak, the content that you deliver, right? And even the way you protect yourself. You know, there are so many changes that you will experience when you continuously develop and evolve yourself. So, personal, branding. The main challenge there is sometimes we forget to develop ourselves, right? When we are in our comfort zone, okay, we just stay there. We go out of our comfort zone when there is a pressure, when there is a pain. That's why a lot of our candidates, when we ask them, okay, we saw your profile LinkedIn, but it's not up to date, or we saw your CV in one of the portals, but it's not up to date. Can you share it with me, your CV? When they get a call from a recruiter, that's the only time they start updating their profile, right? Or when they get a news from the HR department management, I'm so sorry, but your last day will be on this day. you need to start looking for a job. That's the only time to start doing something, right? For me, just like in medicine, they say prevention is better than cure, right? Don't wait for that time to happen before you start developing yourself.
But one question, Florendo, about what you said about the candidate that's not updated, the LinkedIn is not updated. So does it actually lower the chances of those candidates that doesn't have any online presence or doesn't update their LinkedIn profiles?
Again, it is your option as a candidate. If you don't want to update your profile, it's fine. If you're not looking for a job, right? You know, as an individual, right? We have our own journey in life, right? We define our own journey. If what your current status is your comfort zone, and you want to stick on that till you retire or till you go back to the Philippines or whatever, final decision you would like to have in your life, then it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But the question there is, what would you do if you get caught off guard, right? Right now, maybe you're in a comfort zone. Right now, maybe, money is overflowing and it's not an issue. But what if? What are you going to do?
Okay, so let's not forget to develop ourselves. And I think it goes down to what you said also earlier, finding the right time to grow. And but one fear, yes,
Yeah.
Christy.
There are, I think, one of the challenges also that people have is, it's easy if we know um, our personal branding is. For Coach Wanda, she's a coach. For Florendo, it is recruitment. Now, for Miss HR, for you, it's CPA. But there are those people who lack clarity in what they really want to do. So when I was in my 20s, no, going to 30s, so there are a lot of things that I wanted to do. I wanted to do everything. I was doing photography. I was in HR. I'm an accidental HR professional. I never intended to be in HR. When I was in the Philippines, I work in a bank. So I major in banking and finance. Being in HR is not in in my horizon. When I went to the UAE, I was applying for banking jobs. So it was not intentional that I was working or am in HR, but what um what caused that shift is, again, my CV is updated. It says that I have the MBA. That is the only reason that I was considered for that position. And I wasn't even applying for that position. I was applying for a secretarial position at that time. But in any way, because I have that qualification, I was um, accepted in a role and was eventually shifted to the HR. So in a way, at that time, I wasn't really sure if I was going to pursue being in HR or if this is just a stepping stone while I get a job in banking, because that was my comfort zone. I was working in banking. So I delved into photography. I have a personal website before. My personal website would include my qualification in HR, and then at the end of it would have my photography and videography services, which I kind of realized later on that this doesn't connect. I came to a point that I was also interested in coaching. So and it was also in that website. So everything is in that website, all services which are not connected, especially photography, social media, and everything, not connected with what I was really doing majority or 80% of the time. And the clarity there is what I want to be. Do I want to be doing photography for the rest of my career? Or do I want to be doing coaching? Or I really want to be successful in HR or in the academy? So it came to the point that I have to decide which really I want to be. So I was good in HR, so I kept HR, and coaching is a tool, but not completely a profession that I'm doing, but it's a tool for me to be successful in human resource, in speaking to employees, conversing with people, and in the academe, because this is what I also want to do. I want to teach people. And so those are the two things that gave me clarity. No, I stayed in HR and I'm also doing academe. So in a way, it gave me clarity on things that I would categorically say that these are just hobbies. My photography, videography, those are just hobbies, but not really the brand that I would want to project as a professional. And then you have to be consistent. Once you get that clarity of who you want to be, consistency in trying to improve your profession, within your profession, networking with other people. So that would give you clarity on what really is your personal brand. So for all those who until now don't have that clarity, just have more patience. You'll get there eventually.
So thank you for sharing your story, Christine. That would actually inspire also a lot of other people to look for their clarity on what they want to do and who they want to be. And now that we discussed the challenges of having a personal brand, let's talk about staying relevant and actually evolving the brand that we made for ourselves. So how can professionals keep their personal brand current and relevant?
I think if you talk about relevance, you just have you when you are authentic about who you are, then your relevance will stay for long. I mean, trends will always be there in terms of what's in and what's out on social media. But the moment you know your authentic self, then you will always be relevant, I'll say. Your stories, your experience, your expertise matters in so many ways. But you become relevant the moment you start to share, the moment you start to speak up, the moment you have clarity why you're even doing this. Because there's so many things that can stop you in between. But, and relevance is, I'll say it's a perception. When people listen to you, will they find you relevant? You really don't know, right? But the moment you have the intention, I want to be relevant here, I want to share my journey, my story, then the intention will bear fruit. So relevance has many contexts, but I'll say if you are care about who you are, why you're doing what you do, then you'll be relevant forever. The techniques and tools will always be there. It's a matter of updating yourself what's in and out, but you will never be, you'll always be relevant the moment you just be you. Because that's the goal of I learned that, the purpose in this world is to just be you, because there's only one you. Know that, express that, and then you'll be happy too.
I think that's actually true. I wanted to say that, but good that you actually mentioned that, Wanda. But I want to answer this question in the context that you are an employee. Sorry, you're an employee in an organization, right? So if you're an employee in an organization, to make yourself relevant, is that making sure that people in the organization where you work can really feel your presence, right?
Mhm.
Because if no one can feel your presence, I am for sure 100% that you'll be the first candidate to leave the organization. Yeah. So that means if people cannot notice you, they don't know that you don't that you actually exist in the organization. You don't say anything, you don't add value to the business, then what's the ROI of the organization keeping you in that position? Right? So making yourself relevant, also making sure that you adapt to the changes that are happening in the organization. If the organization has decided then to combine, say, accounts receivable and accounts payable, then you have to be flexible. And if you, as an employee, doesn't want that to happen, then the door is open. And if that happens, if you're in that situation, you have to make sure then that your options are there. Then you start looking for a new opportunity. Or if your company then is looking to onboard a new technology, then you need to be open to learning new ways of doing things. Yeah. Um, Also, when you say about making yourself relevant, is that On every year, an organization would have a performance review, right? Other companies that do it two times in a year. During that meeting, that is an opportunity for you to highlight things that you've done in the organization. The value added uh, things that really created impact to the organization. So you should be able then to make sure that you mention those and have it documented by your manager and needs to go to your HR 2015.
So thank you for that, Florendo. So I think from Wanda and Florendo, it's authenticity and visibility, establishing your presence to actually stay relevant. How about you, Christine? How do you actually think we can evolve from this personal branding? How do we actually evolve our personal branding?
Depending on where you are at in terms of the level of in the organization. So if you are in an entry level, so every year I make it a point. Now, for me personally, I make it a point for every year. I reflect on whatever I did in the past year, regardless if it's if whether there's a performance review or not. You can do it personally. So you list down the things that you did in the past year and reflect on the current year. What are your plans for this year? Not only for yourself but with your company. What can you do that would be aligned to the goals of your company or your employer, for that matter? So if there are any industry updates that you need to know, in terms of, for example, you're somebody in the leadership position. If there are industry updates that you know your company would benefit from, take the initiative to learn about it, take certification courses, or plan out your year when you're going to take those professional development. Do not be stagnant, especially if you are aiming for positions that would promote your career growth. No? And continue leveraging on your network, see what they are doing, see what is the current interest in that industry, in that field, because by helping yourself, you're also helping your company grow in terms of making it a point that you are updated, you are also offering the same skills and knowledge that other competitors in HR, for example, or in your case in your profession in accounting, what are those leverages that you need to have right now before your competitor does? And offer that to your company. Be the one to initiate the change, the innovation that your company needs to be competitive in the industry that you are in. So that is essentially being relevant to your position, to your career growth, and also to the industry that your company is in.
So thank you so much for that insights, Christine. So before we actually conclude this podcast, I'd like to ask each of one of you for a top tip for marketing oneself professionally, because that's the main question and the main topic for this podcast. So how do you market yourself professionally? Just one tip for our audience. Maybe we can start with Florendo.
I think it's very important that you need to understand first what do you really want, to happen in your life, in your career. And once actually clear, you'll be able then to have some clarity then in terms of the strategies you will need to do in order to achieve that. What network will be made available for you to connect you then to the right groups, have access to the right resources in order for you to develop certain skills that you need, and also identify the right resources then that you need to use in order to properly uh, market yourself as an individual and as a professional.
Thank you, Florendo. How about you, Wanda?
I think I'll live with an ABC acronym. To market yourself professionally, first you need to be aware about who you are, what makes you unique, what's your unique value proposition. because it's easy to articulate that when you have that clarity and awareness who you are. B is belief. You need to really believe in yourself first, 100%, because when you believe in yourself, a lot of people will believe in you. And I think letter C is courage. Have the courage and faith that whatever happen, God has bigger plans. And you can always turn all your fears when you do have a faith that's, bigger than that fear. So ABC, awareness, belief, and courage. So you can market yourself professionally with the ABC.
So thank you, Wanda, for that ABC. How about you, Christine? What's your final tip? Sorry, you're on mute.
I believe it's important to be self-aware, like Wanda said. Self-awareness is the door gate, no, your gate to being successful in your personal brand. If you realize that you are not self-aware, get in touch with Coach Wanda. This side, get in touch with Coach Wanda because a coach would definitely be able to help you find yourself, find your purpose, and aside after you are self-aware on what really is your purpose and what you really want to do in terms of your career, professional development is also very essential. The moment you stop learning that is it. You will be stagnant in whatever, and you will stay on that level, and continue strategically networking with your community. Do not stay in just one community, no. Leverage other communities also, not only Filipino communities. Join other networks. You'll be able to open other opportunities as long as you've connected with people. You don't need to talk to every person, but you just need to connect and be able to open that channel for you to be able to grow your network and be successful in your personal branding.
Thank you, Christine, and thank you all for all your final tips. I know that we learned all the A to Z of how to market yourself professionally, but as Wanda said, we just need the ABC. So there you have it. I hope you picked up some valuable insights on how to build and market your personal brand professionally. It's been fantastic conversation. So a big thank you to our amazing guest speakers for sharing their time and expertise with us. And to show our gratitude, we will also be presenting certificates of appreciation for all the contributions today. Again, Christine, Wanda, and Florendo, thank you for being here. And thank you, everyone. We can't wait to see you at our next podcast. And until then, take care and keep pushing forward with your personal branding efforts.